Borrowing wisdom from Jax. I've been spending some time this week in Judges 7, that moment when Gideon has to trust God with less than he thought he needed. Fewer men, less strength, less control. And if we're honest, that's where trust gets real, not when we have plenty, but when God starts trimming things down. But before I could teach it, I found myself needing a little help. So I pulled up a chair, at least in my mind, over at Jack's Diner in Piney Grove. You know the table, the Biscuit Boardroom. Coffee's strong, biscuits are hot, and the wisdom usually comes wrapped in laughter and a little bit of life experience. I can hear it now. Deacon Buck shaking his head and saying, "Preacher, trusting God sounds good, until he starts taking away what you were trusting in." And Old Possum probably chiming in, "Yeah, and most of the time, he don't ask your opinion before he does it." And somewhere in there, Pastor Cone would lean forward and say something steady and simple. Sometimes God reduces your strength, so you'll finally rely on his. That's Gideon. God took 32,000 men and reduced them to 300. Not because God didn't know what he was doing, but because Gideon didn't yet know how to trust. And if I'm honest, and maybe you are too, we don't mind trusting God as long as we still have our 32,000. It's when he cuts it down to 300 that we start looking around for another plan. So today, before we walk onto Gideon's battlefield, we're going to sit a minute at Jack's table and ask a simple question they've been chewing on. What does it really mean to trust God when he reduces what you thought you needed? Let's open to Judges 7. Trust at the Biscuit Boardroom. Friday mornings at Jack's Diner in Piney Grove had a way of settling things, arguments, appetites, and sometimes even souls. The regulars called the back table the Biscuit Boardroom, not because any real business got done there, but because everything that mattered somehow passed across those chipped coffee cups. Pastor Cone rolled in a little later than usual that morning, easing his chair up beside the table. Needle was already there, stirring her coffee like she was trying to solve a mystery in it. Deacon Buck Mercer sat with his arms crossed, and that alone told you something wasn't right. Buck didn't cross his arms unless his spirit was tied in a knot. "What's the trouble?" Pastor Cone asked, his voice easy but watchful. Buck let out a long breath. "It's my nephew, Tyler. I gave him a job, trusted him to run some work for me. Yesterday, I found out he's been cutting corners, pocketing a little on the side. Not enough to ruin me, but enough to break something." Needle stopped stirring. "That hurts deeper than money," she said softly. Buck nodded. "I don't know what to do. Part of me says fire him. Part of me says give him another chance. But I tell you what, I don't trust him now. And I don't know if I ever will again." About that time, Old Possum Tucker shuffled up with his biscuit and gravy, easing into a chair as the Lord himself had invited him. "Y'all talking about trust?" he said. "That's a mighty expensive word." Pastor Cone smiled. "It is. Costs something every time." Buck looked up. "Well, I've paid enough, I think." Pastor Cone leaned forward just a bit. "Let me ask you something, Buck. You ever trusted somebody who let you down before?" Buck gave a short laugh. "Pastor, I've been married 52 years. What do you think?" The table chuckled, even Needle. Cone nodded. "Then you already know something important. Trust isn't just something you give once. It's something you decide to build again, carefully, slowly, sometimes with guardrails." Buck stared into his coffee. "Feels like I'd be a fool to trust him again." "Maybe," Cone said. "Or maybe you'd be doing what God does with us." That landed quietly. Cone continued, "Every one of us at this table has cut corners with God, taken what wasn't ours, done less than we promised. And yet, he doesn't just throw us out. He restores us, but not without truth and not without change." Possum leaned in. "That means the boys got to own it first." "Exactly," Cone said. "Trust doesn't ignore wrong. It faces it. But it also leaves room for redemption." Needle added, "And sometimes trust looks different the second time around. It's not blind, it's wise." Buck rubbed his chin. "So what are you saying? I pretend it didn't happen." Cone shook his head. "No, sir. You call him in. Tell him what you know. Give him a chance to tell the truth. And if there's repentance, real repentance, you give him a path back. Not the same responsibility right away, but a road to earn trust again. Buck was quiet for a long moment. The clatter of dishes and the hum of the diner filled the space. Finally, he said, "That sounds harder than firing him." Cone smiled gently. "Most godly things are." Possum raised his coffee cup. "To hard things, then." They all lifted their cups. Just then, Jack himself hollered from behind the counter, "Y'all better trust these biscuits ain't gonna last all day." The table laughed, and something in Buck's shoulders eased just a bit. As they ate, Cone glanced around the table, the worn faces, the shared stories, the quiet faith that held them together. Trust wasn't perfect here. It had cracks and scars. But it was alive, being worked out one conversation, one decision, one biscuit at a time. And in Piney Grove, that was enough. Trust in the Lord with all your heart wasn't just a verse on a wall, it was something you practiced, even when it cost you. Especially then. Trust at the Biscuit Boardroom, Part 2, the meeting. Monday morning didn't come easy for Deacon Buck Mercer. He sat in his truck outside the shop longer than usual, hands resting on the steering wheel, staring at nothing in particular. The Piney Grove sun had just started burning the fog off the fields, but inside Buck's chest, things were still cloudy. He finally muttered, "All right, Lord, help me do this right," and stepped out. Tyler was already there. Leaning against the side of the building, coffee in hand, boots dusty, eyes tired. He tried to act normal when he saw Buck, but something in the way he straightened up gave him away. Leaning against the side of the building, coffee in hand, boots dusty, eyes tired. He tried to act normal when he saw Buck, but something in the way he straightened up gave him away. Buck nodded. "Come on inside. We need to talk." That sentence alone took 10 degrees off the room. They stepped into the shop. Tools hung in their places. The smell of oil and sawdust filled the air, familiar, steady, honest. Buck walked over to the workbench, but didn't pick anything up. He just turned and faced Tyler. "I'm gonna give you a chance to tell me something," Buck said, voice calm but firm. "Is there anything you need to come clean about?" Tyler looked down at his boots. Silence stretched long enough to feel like a decision. Finally, he exhaled. "Yes, sir." Buck didn't move. "I've been cutting a little off the top on a couple jobs," Tyler said. "Not big stuff. Just figured you wouldn't notice." Buck's jaw tightened, but he let Tyler keep talking. "I know it's wrong," Tyler added quickly. "I do. I just got behind on some things, and it felt easy. Too easy." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." The words hung there, not polished, not perfect, but real. Buck stepped closer, just a little. "Why didn't you come to me?" Tyler shrugged, shame creeping into his voice. "Didn't want to look weak. Didn't want you to think I couldn't handle things." Buck let out a slow breath. "Son, you already look weak. Just not for the reason you think." Tyler nodded, eyes still down. For a moment, Buck said nothing. You could almost hear the echo of Friday morning, the clink of coffee cups, Pastor Cone's steady voice, Needle's quiet wisdom. Trust doesn't ignore wrong. It faces it, but leaves room for redemption. "Look at me," Buck said. Tyler raised his eyes. "What you did broke trust," Buck said plainly. "And trust is harder to fix than money. You understand that?" "Yes, sir." "I could let you go right now," Buck continued. "And, truth be told, part of me still wants to." Tyler flinched just slightly. "But I'm not going to. Not today." Tyler blinked, surprised. Buck held up a hand. "Don't get ahead of yourself. This ain't a free pass." "No, sir." You're gonna make this right. Every dollar you took, you pay it back. We'll track it together. Yes, sir. And for a while, you won't be running jobs on your own. You'll work under me. You'll earn responsibility back, one step at a time. Tyler nodded quickly. I will. I promise. Buck shook his head gently. Don't promise me. Show me. There was a pause, but this one felt different. Lighter somehow. Not fixed, but moving. Tyler finally said, thank you for not giving up on me. Buck studied him a moment. I'm not doing this because you earned it. I'm doing it because somebody once did it for me. That landed deeper than anything else. Tyler's eyes softened. I won't forget it. Buck gave a small nod. See that you don't. He turned and grabbed a tool off the bench, handing one to Tyler. Now, let's get to work. Trust ain't rebuilt by talking about it. Tyler took the tool, gripping it like it meant something more now. Out in the distance, you could hear a truck roll down the Piney Grove road, and somewhere not too far away, Jack was probably pouring coffee for the Biscuit Boardroom, telling somebody, trust me, this'll fix what ails you. Back in the shop, Buck and Tyler bent over the same piece of work, one teaching, one learning. And little by little, with every honest hour and every right choice, something broken started coming back together. Not all at once, but real. Because in Piney Grove, trust wasn't just given, it was rebuilt.